It's time for the Rundown with Rob Sanders.
Well, we're waiting.
Welcome into the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeartRadio app. I'm Rob Sanders. Thanks for joining me today. And I tell you what, we got to start with some college baseball. The Gamecocks are in a dogfight right now with Virginia as they lead 4-3 in the bottom of the 8th inning. South Carolina started off slow in this matchup. They were down 3-1 at one point, but they have rallied and now lead 4-3. Here, of course, we've got, of course, South Carolina leading 4-3 here in the bottom of the 8th inning. We'll talk about the fall of the Lakers last night. Urban Myers talks about how hard it's going to be for Tim Tebow to make the team in Jacksonville. So, yeah, there's that. And I tell you what, it's going to be interesting stuff with that because there's a lot of I don't have like a hatred for Tim Tebow. I just think it's, it just seems like there's a lot of people that don't like him, but we shall see how that works out for him. Okay, so we're going to roll along here today. I want to give you some scoreboard updates. Mike Tyson. I got a story about Mike Tyson. Talks about he did an interview where he talks about the nasty stuff he had to do in jail to reduce his prison time. Yeah, we'll get into that. Also, I've got the projections for Clemson's upcoming season according to Bill Conley, who's been on the show with us before. He's like an analytics guy for ESPN. We'll tell you about that. Actually, we'll get into that in just a moment. I want to give you a scoreboard update here. We'll also talk about an Ohio high school football coach who was fired after players say he made them eat pork. We'll get into that. And how my Phoenix Suns have thrown the sports betting world into a tizzy because they have ended the team that everybody thought was going to do everything with the Los Angeles Lakers. They ended their season last night. They were just the better team, just the way that it is. Anyway, still 4-3 South Carolina as they try to wrap up their matchup here with the folks from Virginia. Looked like Virginia was going to be a team that could possibly do some damage, but Gamecocks have been holding their own there. Some other scores. In the East, in the Greenville Regional, East Carolina in the top of the 8th inning leads Norfolk State 7-4. One final from the Knoxville Regional in Game 1. Liberty wins over number 22 Duke. The ACC champion falls in their opener 11-6. They're in a delay in the Gainesville Regional, but South Florida leads Florida 3-2. in the 6th inning there. A final from the Lubbock Regional. Texas Tech wins over Army 6-3. Notre Dame in the bottom of the 6th has a 10-0 lead over Central Michigan. So we will we'll keep you updated on some of these scores. Some still underway here. Texas leads Southern in the Austin Regional 7-0. NC State in the Ruston Regional has a 4-0 lead on Alabama. Lots of folks were talking about maybe Alabama wasn't the team that should have been in the mix there. We'll see how that goes. Game's getting underway here shortly. New Jersey Tech. I didn't know New Jersey Tech had a baseball team, but they're going to play Arkansas today. Sanford and Mississippi State get underway at 3, and Florida State and Southern Miss. They are all games that are coming up here. We'll start here in the next little bit. As we said, in the Columbia Regional, South Carolina leads 4-3 as they are trying to close out Virginia here in their opener. Lloyd on the mound for the Gamecocks as Brett Carey had some injury issues and had to leave after, 2 2/3 of an inning, but he is out, and the Gamecocks looking to close out Virginia. Okay, let's talk about some other stuff here. I want to get into last night. There is a long line of hatred for LeBron James and a long line of hatred for the NBA stuff. I guess I kind of missed out on that. There is a good section of people that are, you know what, I'm not going to watch the NBA. And, I want to talk about that a little bit later on, but I've got this football story with Clemson and their percentage opportunities to win games against the majority of their schedule. So this is from Bill Conley. He starts with the Georgia matchup. He has Clemson as projected to win by 4.5, which is covering the spread, by the way. And he gives them a 60% chance to win that game. South Carolina State, he projects it to be a 50-point game, 100% win percentage there. Georgia Tech, he's got them at 24.9, 92% is the probability there. That's kind of the way it goes down the list here. NC State, he's got them winning by 18 in that one, 85% chance. By 28 over Boston College. I don't know if I'm buying that or not. 95% chance there. 33 points over Syracuse. Nothing good comes out of Syracuse, right? My buddy Sweeney Osterine over there watching on Facebook, he'll tell you nothing good comes out of Syracuse. But 33% chance, or 33-point margin there, 97% chance of victory. At Pittsburgh, win by 17 points, 85% chance to win that game. Florida State, 26 points, 94% chance to win that game. Louisville, they've got them at 18 points there, and 86 point percentage to win that. 100% with Connecticut at 53 points. Wake Forest is 28 points at 95%. And South Carolina, if I want to take a guess, they predict at South Carolina, Clemson's going to win by 32 points over the Gamecocks. 97% chance of victory there. I buy the majority of these, except for some of the margins. I think that 31 points on the road against South Carolina is going to be tough, in my opinion. I also think that 28 points against Wake Forest will be tough as well. 28 against Boston College, I think, will be tough. The rest of them, you're not going to hear me complain about. You really aren't. Especially the Georgia matchup, because the more and more you look at it, this Georgia team, everyone talks about the whole thing of, hey, Georgia's got this secondary that they've rebuilt. Yeah, what they've got, and they've got talent back there. Let's make sure we put that out there. But these are guys that have never played together before. People seem to forget that. I'm in the camp that that's an inexperienced Georgia secondary that Clemson's going to be playing. Yes, I think Darion Kendrick's going to be great. The guy from, West Virginia, he's going to be good, but they've never played together. And when you've never played together, that could equal bad. That's just, something that you're not hearing about a lot about. It's all about, oh, we've got the talent here, we've got the talent there. But how long have they played together? Darion Kendricks never really talked to the Georgia defensive staff. He hasn't played for them. I mean, Will Muschamp's one of their senior analysts, and I think he's the worst coach that's ever been in the SEC in the past 20 years. This guy had the first defensive player drafted, and the South Carolina defense was terrible last year. So I don't know if that's going to be something that works out well for Georgia or not. I think the 4-point line, might go up. But I don't think Clemson's going to win by 32 points in Columbia. I don't see that happening. And I don't think they're going to win by 32 points, 28 points with Boston College. Your thoughts on some of those at 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832 is the number to call if you'd like to join us here on The Rundown, here on Fox Sports Radio 1400, around the world on the iHeartRadio app. As we have 2 outs in this game with South Carolina and Virginia. I thought South Carolina would probably do a little bit. They kind of have this game in hand, but it's a tough regional in Columbia. You know, you've got Old Dominion who hit 101 home runs. That's impressive in its own right. It was looking kind of bleak earlier with the Gamecocks down 3-1. Gamecock Twitter was insane earlier. People were upset after Virginia jumps out to that lead. Baseball's a 9-inning game, folks. 9-inning game, folks. Sweeney Online says Clemson plays one projected top 40 team. Yeah, I get that. But what Sweeney doesn't understand is that the projections at the beginning of the season don't matter. A lot of the projections at the beginning of the season are written by SEC apologists who will tell you that having to play Ole Miss and Mississippi State and Vanderbilt and all that, those are tough games, and you should think about those. In reality, unless you're in the SEC West, your schedule is pretty much equivalent to just about everybody else. I mean, let's just be honest. You may play Alabama, that's great, but do you play LSU every year? No. If you're in the East, I mean, you're basically a souped up version of the ACC Atlantic. Serious. It's just the way that it is. It's not like you're playing Alabama every year. You don't play LSU every year. South Carolina could gets a pass, in my opinion, because they schedule Clemson and they schedule they have Texas A&M on the other side. But the rest of the East teams, come on, man. Just step back for a second, remove your SEC as Lord hat, and just look at it from a true football perspective, and you'll realize the schedule's not that different. South Carolina holds on to win over Virginia 4-3. They'll play the winner of Old Dominion and Jacksonville tomorrow night at 7:00. We will see what happens with Old Dominion and Jacksonville tonight. Old Jacksonville comes in at 16-32 on the season. But they've gotten their stuff together lately. So if you want to call up and talk about the game here, South Carolina getting themselves into a position where maybe they can advance the Super Regional. We'll see how that works out. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. Talk about these percentage possibilities for Clemson. I'm buying some of them. Jerome says we have the toughest schedule. I'm not sure. I think he's talking about the Gamecocks. Your schedule is not that tough. Let's slow down for a second. You play the Gamecocks play the toughest schedule in the East. I'll give you that. I'll buy that. But as far as the toughest schedule, it's just not. Just not. Of course, South Carolina getting the win in baseball over here. College baseball is great this time of year, man. Just so many, as Blake was saying, so many great games on right now. Brandon wants me to give some love to Presbyterian. Yes, they're playing tonight. You know, Tim Corbin, the coach for Vanderbilt, started that program, and one of the players that played for him was the current Presbyterian head coach. And they won the Big South tournament as the 4 seed. They're going up there heavy underdogs, obviously, to a very talented Vanderbilt team. But they have that opportunity to dream, folks. Have that opportunity to dream. And they are in the tournament. Clemson's not in the tournament. They don't get that opportunity to dream this year. Depressing year for the Clemson baseball team. Thought they were going to be a little bit better than they were. All right, if you want to respond to the game with South Carolina and Virginia, 803-978-1832. If you're making your way out to the car down there at Founders Park, we'll take your call. If you want to talk about the percentage stuff for Clemson, of course, favored by 85% or better against everyone except for Georgia, where they're at 60%. You think that's too high? Projected to be a 32-point winner over South Carolina on the road in the game after Thanksgiving. All right, we'll take your calls, 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. We're going to talk about Tim Tebow in Jacksonville and something that Urban Meyer said might make you scratch your head for just a moment. We'll get into that. We'll talk about how my Phoenix Suns, America's team, won last night and set the sports betting world on fire. More of the rundown when we come back. You're listening to Fox Sports Radio 1400. The NJIT leads Arkansas 1-0. What the heck is going on there? I didn't know the New Jersey I didn't know they had a team. They're beating Arkansas right now. If you're a team in the West and you're not named Alabama, you've got to play. We'll go with Ole Miss's schedule. In the West, you've got to play Texas A&M, LSU, Auburn, and Alabama. I'll take those 4. Does anybody buy that Tim Tebow was a virgin in college? We can talk about that here. That's not actually going on the air. I don't think Tim Tebow was a virgin in college. I'm not buying that at all. All right, this New Jersey, what is it? The NJIT, they're winning. Look at that mess. You can make that argument. I thought Arkansas was like this buzzsaw. This is probably the slowest pitcher they faced in history, though. Baseball is a great game. Absolutely great game. Look, I give South Carolina credit because they do have Clemson and Texas A&M on the other side every time, and they have the opportunity to make it a little bit tougher because depending on how their West opponent shakes out. Welcome back to the rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeartRadio app. NC State beating up on Alabama 7-1, bottom of the 5th inning. Some other scores: Arkansas, the SEC champion, is losing to New Jersey Tech. That's not a joke. 1-0 there. They're in the bottom of the 1st inning. A couple of other scores. Let's see here. Texas leads Southern 7-0. Samford up on top of Mississippi State 1-0. Southern Miss winning over Florida State 2-0. Let's see here. Some other scores as we roll along here. East Carolina won over Norfolk State. They're winning in the bottom of the 8th there. Liberty wins over Duke 11-6 as the ACC tournament champion is already in the losers bracket. Yeah, kind of tough there. In a delay, South Florida leads Florida 3-2. That's in the sixth inning. Texas Tech wins over Army 6-3. Indiana State over Georgia Tech. They're in the top of the seventh inning out in Nashville as the Sycamores. Yeah, they're winning over Georgia Tech 6-2. Notre Dame beating up on Central Michigan 10-0. And Dallas Baptist is winning in the top of the fourth over Oregon State 3-1. All right, so if you want to talk about the stuff we talked about with Clemson's percentage stuff there, Jerome says Clemson puts our schedule over the edge, talking about South Carolina. I know technically that's not on the SEC schedule. Look, South Carolina gets a pass because they've got every year Clemson on the schedule, in addition to Texas A&M, who's generally a team that's near the top of the SEC West standings. If their schedule rotates a certain way, they could end up playing LSU. They could end up playing Alabama. They could end up playing Auburn. It could be interesting either way. But the rest of the teams, yeah, not so much. If you talk to certain Georgia folks, they'll tell you we play the absolute toughest schedule in the history of time. You have no clue how tough Murray State is. They finished fourth in the OVC last year. So hard. So hard playing this tough schedule. Yeah. That's the kind of things that I'm talking about. At least South Carolina is doing a better job as far as, hey, they're scheduling North Carolina in some series, and it's getting a little bit tougher across the board. 803-978-1832. Urban Meyer said today on the Rich Eisen show, when he was talking about Tim Tebow, what's the percentage of making the team? We don't know. This is uncharted water. It's going to be very difficult, but he's been doing great. He's been doing great in practice. He's learning the offense, as you can imagine. He's working as hard as anybody. I see a good camaraderie amongst the team and Tim, and it's been good so far. Here's the big thing with that. When they put out the jerseys, like right after the draft, right? There were 3 jerseys that were in the, if you go to the Jacksonville Jaguars page or follow them on Twitter, the graphic they put out was, of course, Trevor Lawrence, their number 1 overall pick, Travis Etienne, the guy they drafted at 25th overall, and Tim Tebow, who hasn't been in the NFL in like 8 years. If they can keep Tim Tebow on that team and just if he can earn a roster spot as far as special teams goes, they will sell so many jerseys they could pay for their new stadium. Tim Tebow is loved by, the planet. But I don't know if he's going to make the team or not. Eisen asked Meyer what exactly Tebow brings to the Jaguars in regards to building up the team's culture. Well, he's certainly lived it. He's a guy that's as hardworking, as tough as a human being as I've ever been around, as competitive. But the cool thing is, Rich, I'm finding a lot of that around here. Yeah, there are tons of people that can be, labeled as character guys. But there's just an obsession with Tim Tebow. People just love Tim Tebow. I don't know if it's the stuff with his faith or what, but it's like there is just a ton of love for Tim Tebow. So do you think Tim Tebow is going to make the Jacksonville Jaguars roster? I don't know. I know if I'm in marketing, I would figure that out. Jerome says, I like Tebow, but he should have gotten a chance 8 years ago. Someone I'm sure told him, hey, you should be an H-back. You should be a tight end, whatever. No, he was bent on, I'm going to be a quarterback. But you can't, he didn't have the quick release, whatever. He did win a playoff game, though. We'll give him that. But will Tim Tebow make the make the Jaguars? We shall find out. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That is the number to call if you want to join us here on the rundown. ST says, I hope he does. Blake says, kids love Tim Tebow. Yeah, we'll be following that. It'd be great. I mean, think of the they have all the Disney movies on Disney Plus now where it's all these like what was the one about the Clemson players safety, I think it was called. That would be a Disney Plus movie in a second. ST asked if he retired from baseball. He did at the beginning of the season. So there's that. Scoreboard update. As I said earlier, the ACC tournament champion Duke is in the losers bracket now. They fall to Liberty 11-6. Also, East Carolina wins over Norfolk State 8-4. South Florida's winning over Florida State 3-2. That's in a delay in the sixth inning. Number 9, Texas Tech is winning won over Army 6-3. Bottom of the eighth, Notre Dame wins over Central Michigan 10-0. Texas has a 7-0 lead over Southern in the bottom of the fifth inning. Alabama's getting beat up by NC State 7-1. That's also in the bottom of the fifth inning. Samford and Mississippi State tied at 1 in the first inning. Southern Miss leads Florida State 2-0 in the top of the second inning. Some other games that are in the works here. Let's see here. As my scoreboard refreshes in front of me, East Carolina over Norfolk State 8-4 in the bottom of the eighth. That game's moving along there. And I thought there was one other game. Yeah, Indiana State over Georgia Tech 6-2. That's in the bottom of the seventh inning. As looks like Tech may be heading to the losers bracket there. Not a great showing there for the ACC in some of these games. Dallas Baptist is winning over Oregon State 3-1. That's in the top of the fourth. And the New Jersey Tech in the top of the second inning is winning over number 1 Arkansas 1-0. Just freeze that score and then put that up in the room there. Up in your baseball room at New Jersey Tech. Didn't know they had a baseball team. Mississippi State and Samford tied at 1 in the bottom of the first inning. All right, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the hatred for LeBron James. That's what was talked about more yesterday than the fact that the Phoenix Suns were just the better basketball team. People need to figure that out. Blake says for the first time in his life, go New Jersey Tech. Did you know that New Jersey Tech had a baseball team? I thought New Jersey Tech was like, not that they had a baseball team. I'm just saying. We'll talk about Mike Tyson too. Interesting story about what Mike Tyson did while he was in jail. That's some interesting stuff. We'll have that for you here in a minute on the rundown. You're listening to Fox Sports Radio 1400. Sweeney's got jokes. Norfolk State's an interesting team. They steal a lot of bases. I don't know how that would work out, Brandon. I think that the Super Regionals will be from this set, so nobody's going to go back. So Old Dominion didn't even bid. You know, we could talk about the Logan Paul thing. I don't even know what it is. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. We're looking to find out what the New Jersey Tech mascot is. I don't know. They're winning over Arkansas right now. 1-0. Early on. Biggest thing in their baseball career there. The New Jersey NJIT mascot is a Highlander. I don't know what a Highlander is, but it is a Highlander. That's what they are. So there's that. All right, so there is a big fight this weekend between Logan Paul and Floyd Mayweather. Ladies and gentlemen, I tell you what, before I get into this, I just want to say, if you're thinking of spending money to pay for this Logan Paul fight with Floyd Mayweather, I truly have nothing for you. Mayweather hasn't fought since he fought Conor McGregor in 2017, so it's been a while. He's 50-0 and is, at his weight class, one of the best fighters ever. I'm not really a Floyd Mayweather guy, but it's still, you have to give him credit for being what he's done. I think he's ducked people for the longest time. But according to Mark Raimondi, who is a noted boxing writer, the rules per the Florida Commission: no judges, no official winner will be read, knockouts are legal, KO up to the ref discretion, no headgear, 12-ounce gloves, and an 8 3-minute rounds. And of course, they're calling it an exhibition. Former NFL wide receiver Chad Johnson will open the pay-per-view card against bare knuckle fighter Brian Maxwell in a 4-round exhibition. I'm trying to find out how much it's going to cost, because this is, in my opinion, they are just stealing money. I'm trying to figure. Oh, here we go. It's $50. Ladies and gentlemen, it's $50 to watch Floyd Mayweather and Logan Paul fight. Look, there are so many people right now that could use your $50. Okay? I work with several different charities that I'd be happy to take your $50. And normally, I don't approve of this, but there are streams out there, ladies and gentlemen, that you can find if you have to watch this fight. 803-978-1832. Out to the phones we go. Welcome into the rundown. Good afternoon.
Hey, Rob, you're not going to watch the fight?
If I watch it, I'm going to find it on some stream somewhere that I'm not going to pay for it.
Yeah. I saw a interview with Conor McGregor, and he said the Floyd Mayweather fight for him was a cash grab.
Oh, of course it was. I mean, if he got
yeah, he
paid
got
more in that
$25
fight
million.
than he got paid his entire career. I mean,
Yeah.
I'd take a fight. If Floyd Mayweather came to me right now and said, look, will you go run around a ring with me with no headgear, no nothing? They're not going to read anything about who won. I'd let him knock me out for $30 million. Have at it.
Yeah. But I guarantee you there's probably going to be, a million buys for this, probably.
Oh, easily.
People are going to do it.
Logan Paul is a guy that for some reason, stupid
He's got
people,
a ton of followers.
He's got a ton of followers, and stupid people will send him money. I mean, that's just the way that it is. And, there's also this thing, too, of there's a good portion of people that don't like Floyd Mayweather, and they're hoping that, since Logan Paul outweighs him a good bit, maybe Paul will catch him with a hook, and Mayweather may get his butt knocked out. And people, that's worth $50 to somebody. But to me, find your favorite charity and give them $50. Do not give these guys your money. It's sad.
Yeah. Mayweather doesn't need the money. I mean, I saw a piece on him on HBO, and he said he's got more money than his kids can spend.
Well, I mean, I think he was betting $1 million a game during the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
So think about that for a second. Money. He's got plenty of money.
Yeah. All right, man. Thanks.
Appreciate it. All right. So if you're going to buy the fight, feel free to call up. I will give you my PayPal address. You can send me the $50. I'll donate it to charity for you. Or I'll tell you what charity to send it to. 803-978-1832. Jimmy with a great question online. How much would it be for you to take a dive? It depends on who I'm taking a dive to. Okay? If it's Mike Tyson, $1, because I don't want to get hurt. I'll just run up to Mike and just fall down. I'll take a couple of shots from Mayweather. He weighs about $145. He probably can't hit me that hard. That, and I think I'm like 4 inches taller than he is. He'd have to swing up to hit me. Jerome says you never know if it's going to last 10 seconds either. That's a good point too. But Mayweather, you got to remember with Mayweather, he's a guy that's ducked people for years. He's not going to put his 50-0 thing on the line unless there's something there that he has the inside where he's going to walk out with his hand held up. I'm just saying. But that fight, if you're spending money on that this weekend, just don't. Go to a bar and drink. Make sure you Uber home. But do not spend money and give Floyd Mayweather and this other guy any more money. If he was really serious about boxing and he wanted to work his way up the ranks and then use his followers to help him get fights and all that, that would be different. But the way this guy's fight, it's just stupid. I love the MMA guys where he's ran his mouth to some of the MMA guys, and the MMA guys are like, step into the cage and I'll kill you. Absolutely kill you. I would love to see him get into a cage and fight with somebody without the boxing gloves and what the Florida Commission could say and all of that. Yeah, that would be. He would. I think Ronda Rousey in her prime would knock him out. She'd break his arm for him. I believe that. Just saying. Don't spend your money on that fight. We still got to talk about Mike Tyson and the, quote, nasty stuff he did. I read this. I had to read the story again. It was that interesting. So we'll talk about that when we come back here on the rundown. Blake says a butterbean. Okay. I get what you're talking about there. Sweeney says I'm going to make people upset. I just think that people that look at Floyd Mayweather and talk about him being one of the greatest, I just laugh. He ducked people forever. I mean, he really did. All right, so don't buy that fight this weekend. That's the big thing. South Carolina wins earlier today over Virginia 4-3. They advance to play tomorrow night in the 7:00 matchup against either Old Dominion or Jacksonville. Old Dominion, of course, #1 seed. The team coming into the tournament that's hit the most home runs, over 100 home runs hit on the season for ODU. Jacksonville is, of course, 16-32 overall. So I don't know how that matchup's going to go tonight. We'll find out. New Jersey Tech, I still believe, is up on Arkansas 1-0. If you want the ultimate Cinderella story, there you go. All right, what did Mike Tyson do in prison? We'll tell you about the nasty stuff that Mike Tyson did in just a moment. You're listening to The Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Yeah, I'm not fighting with Butterbean. Let's make sure we put that out there. That's not happening. That's not happening at all. I don't know. I don't know why people would even remotely try to get into the ring for that, but I do know if Floyd Mayweather said, "Hey, come get in the ring for $30 million," okay, I'd let him hit me. Why not? He probably knocked me out in like 3 punches. Norfolk State has the bases loaded in the top of the 9th inning, 2 outs, down by 3 to East Carolina. Butterbean's in his 60s now. I mean, he's too old to be boxing. That would be funny there, vodka drinker. I don't think Butterbean died. I might have missed it. You might be right there, Sweeney. I don't know. That's a good question. He's old. I know that. Well, welcome back to the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeartRadio app. Do not send your money to Floyd Mayweather this weekend. If you're a Gamecock fan, go and donate it to the athletic department. If you're a Clemson fan, send it to Ipte. That's better than sending it to Floyd Mayweather to fight some bum. $50. Ridiculous. Here's a guy that was worth his fights, most of them anyway. Mike Tyson. When he was in jail for the rape charge, when he was convicted in 1992, he was released in 1995 after serving less than 3 years. He said he had to go the extra mile while behind bars to make that happen. In a recent interview, he said he got in trouble for, quote, cursing and getting written up and other incidents. He said he straightened it out after that, but he initially added another year to his sentence because of his behavior during the first 6 months. So he goes into prison and starts raising hell, and they give him another year. Tyson claims he was able to use a relationship with a prison counselor to get out earlier than expected. Here's his quote. "Next thing you know, I'm dating one of those counselor workers now. She's letting me have sex with her now. So by passing the GED, they took that year away." John Hutchinson of The Sun says, "So I flunked the GED and got mad. So I had to start dating this counselor and stuff and giving her money and doing some really nasty stuff to her. And she let me pass the test." So Mike Tyson, to get out of prison early, basically had sex with a counselor and ended up giving her money, and that's how he got out of prison. Mike Tyson is insane. This is the same Mike Tyson, by the way, that said that he used a fake penis to pass drug test. So there's that. Mike Tyson, though, was worth his money. If Mike Tyson, I don't know if I'd pay $50 to watch Mike Tyson fight now, but back in the day, a Mike Tyson fight was worth the $50. Absolutely worth the $50. Give me you can have my money. Floyd Mayweather, not so much. All right, so final thing today. You know, I've been a Phoenix Suns fan for as long as I can remember. I just, for some reason, picked them as my team when I was a kid. I've always been a Phoenix Suns fan. So they make the playoffs last night or this season, and people were talking about they're a 60-1 shot, a long shot, to win the NBA title. A lot of that had to do with the fact they're playing the LA Lakers. They put the Lakers out. They went from 60-1 to 8-1. Kevin Hennessy, a communications director for FanDuel, told ESPN today, the Suns are our top liability out west and are now the second biggest liability to us for the NBA championship outright. So think about that for a second. That's some interesting stuff there. But here's the thing. I posted about my Suns winning last night, and more people were talking about the fact that it's LeBron James this and LeBron James that. How about we just say, and I'm coming across as completely biased here, and that's fine. But the reality is that it comes back to this. The Phoenix Suns were just the better basketball team. They were up 29 last night at one point. They won game 4 or game 5, I'm sorry. They won that game by 30. They're a good basketball team. I don't know if they're good enough to win the whole thing, but they're much better than the Lakers. But more people were just giddy that LeBron James is out. I'm not a LeBron James fan, okay? I'm a Phoenix Suns fan. But the hatred for LeBron, and he gets on my nerves too with some of the stuff that he does. He flops around a lot. He complains a lot. I don't like the whole thing he did where he left and went to Miami. Then now I'm going back to Cleveland. Now I'm going to LA. I don't like all of that either. But as far as the kind of basketball player he is, he can dominate a game. But the hatred for LeBron James is off the chart. Off the chart, man. People, if he's on your team, you love him. But other than that, people can't stand LeBron James. And I think that there's some folks that say, and just on my timeline, they don't watch the NBA anymore because of LeBron James. Wow. The sad thing is that if you were watching the NBA, there have been some good series. The the Clippers and Mavericks series been back and forth all the way through. That's the only one that's out there tonight. You've also had the series with Denver and Portland, which was really good. I say that in that a lot of people are using, and they tell me they don't like some of the political stance and all that, and I get that. But if you just appreciate the sport and you like basketball, you got to look at some of the NBA stuff because right now the playoffs are where it's at. One other thing, too, as we put the Lakers story to bed, Anthony Davis played last night, shouldn't have been out on the court at all. I mean, I don't know how the team doctors let that go. I really don't. Not really buying into that at all. But the Lakers are gone. The Lakers are gone. The Suns have won the series, and they will move on to play the Denver Nuggets. Game 1 is tomorrow night in Denver, I believe. Or no, in Phoenix. Jacked up, looking forward to that. You want to know what would really make a lot of people angry, though? Is if you had an NBA Finals with Phoenix and let's say the Hawks. Can you imagine Trae Young and Devin Booker going back and forth at each other. Oof, what a great thing that would be. For the basketball purist, the NBA wants the Knicks and the Lakers to play in the finals every year, and that's just not going to happen. Because the Knicks are terrible, and the Lakers right now, they may go into a complete rebuild. So there's that. Lawton Swan and I can be friends now, by the way, since his team is out. So, yeah, be sure to check out Lawton Swan Show anyway.
Stop looking at me, Swan.
Yes.
Stop looking at me, Swan.
Right here on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeartRadio app. A quick scoreboard update before we get out of here. South Carolina wins over Virginia as the Gamecocks get the job done. They win 4-3. They advance. They play tomorrow night against the winner of Old Dominion today and Old Dominion and Jacksonville. So that game's tomorrow night at 7:00 at Founders Park. Whoever the Gamecocks will play. One final: East Carolina wins over Norfolk State 8-5. Liberty wins over Duke 11-6. South Florida is winning over Florida 3-2. Army loses to Texas Tech 6-3. Notre Dame wins over Central Michigan 10-0. The bottom of the 6th inning, Texas wins over Southern 7-0. NC State's up on Alabama 7-1. That game's in the top of the 7th inning. New Jersey Tech, ladies and gentlemen, the Highlanders are winning in the top of the 3rd inning over number 1 seed Arkansas. This is not a joke. I just looked up at it. These guys look like the cast from Jersey Shore. I'm just saying. I'm not supposed to say things like that, I guess, but we'll just call them the Jersey Shore is winning over Alabama right now, 2-0. They'll probably lose 12-2, but 2-0 in the top of the 3rd as the SEC champion has come out kind of flat to New Jersey Tech. Samford is losing to Mississippi State 4-1 in the bottom of the 2nd. Southern Miss has a 2-0 lead over Florida State. And let's see here. Any other games that I can give you here as I run through my scoreboard? I mentioned Virginia and South Carolina. South Carolina puts the Cavs in the losers bracket. And I believe that's it. Presbyterian plays tonight against Vanderbilt. Brandon Kuhn says it's payback for the Belk Bowl that's not nice. All right, Lawton Swan is next. Thank you guys for joining the show. We'll be back at it on Monday. This is the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. All right, you guys. Appreciate y'all, man. You guys are awesome, and I'll talk to you on Monday. Good luck to your teams. Hopefully it's not like New Jersey Tech, the Jersey Shore. See you guys later on, all right? Thank you, guys.